All right, welcome back to the Community Christian podcast. We started a new series today, and I've got Shellie with me today. As many of you know, oversees all of our student ministries, and that's been exciting to see more and more students coming. And really quick, just share about last week for those of my, people don't get to see all the baptisms that happen, but neat stuff is going on with students.
Such cool stuff. We baptized 3 students, and it was just so cute. There's like 3 little, almost redheaded girls, which I feel like is God's testimony in my life. He's like, I'm just going to make sure you know that your people are coming to you. And they just had powerful testimonies, and a lot is going on in their life. And a couple of them are not super connected to our church, but have just connected to student ministries. And one of the little girls asked me last week, she's like, do you mind if I just come hang out with you on Sundays here and come to church? And I was like, yeah, no, not at all. Come hang out with me all morning. So just God's doing some powerful stuff in student ministries. We've had 2 more people accept Jesus in their heart last week, and another one getting baptized next week. And I just feel like, this year we really put a stake in the ground and said, we're going to just start telling students the truth about who Jesus is. And I just feel like God's paid like dividends back for that, of just like sharing the gospel in a truthful way and not always having to have it be the most fun. Like student ministry is fun, but just a lesson that really breaks down like, who is Jesus? What did he do? And who is he for you? And it's just really, it's changing the lives of our students. I'm stoked.
Yeah, people are seeking the truth, and that includes students. And what you're doing Wednesday nights at Morgan Hill, I mean, that's another environment because of people's giving, because of your giving. If you're part of Community Christian, you're creating that environment where students are hearing the gospel. And then Sunday mornings, we have the tween group at Foxworthy that we're building up. Our 4th through 8th graders, we're trying to build student ministries there that's getting truth and having great conversations as well. I know my own girls are part of that group, and they've been talking about the idea of fasting. As you talk to students, it's not something a lot of people talk to students about going into Easter, since we're asking the church to consider fasting, and they're getting the concepts.
Yeah, I really felt the need to dig in on this 40 days of fasting for me and my family. I just felt like God was telling me there's some things that he wants me to abstain from. And he's like, you can do anything for 40 days. And I was like, all right, I'm going to try. And so I just gave him some things that I've been wrestling with for a long time, and my husband as well. And my son did the same thing. And so I was like, I just need to tell the students about this. So I just told them like why we're doing it and how students are a part of the big church, even if they didn't come or don't come to church, like that they're invited into serving, they're invited into coming to church, bringing their families, and also doing the things like 40 days of fasting, that those things are not exclusive to adults. And so it's been amazing. We do prayer cards, connection cards like we do at church with our student ministries. And almost every single card has been like, God, keep helping me fast. And I mean, it's been like 27 days today. And I'm still seeing that. And we talked about that today at Tween, just how, it's not easy, but even when we mess up with fasting, it gives us an opportunity to access Jesus and ask him to help us. And I've had like multiple parents be like, my kid is actually fasting from social media. It's amazing. And they're reading their Bible.
Yeah,
I'm like,
changing their life,
great.
Changing their family environment.
Changing my life too. Like it's all, it's pretty cool.
So neat. Like speaking of students being able to serve, I got to the Morgan Hill campus early Sunday morning this week, and there's 2 freshman high school students serving for the first time.
Good.
There's students serving in the kitchen. I know we have students serving in the soundboard at Foxworthy, serving in kids' classrooms like in the elementary and stuff. So you're right. They are included. They are part of this. They have giftedness to bring. And again, as we talk about fasting, and during this 40 days, we said, hey, what can you give up? For a lot of people, it's a food item. For some people, it's things like social media. What can you give up? And as you realize each day, oh man, I want to do that, but I am not doing that for 40 days, to instead pray for people to find their way back to God. And people have some personal prayers for themselves during this time, but the focus has been what is typically called evangelism, that the gospel, the truth of Jesus would go out, as you're talking about speaking the truth. And we've been praying about that leading up to Easter. And it's often said, throughout the history of the church, when church communities like Community Christian develop, that the idea of sharing the gospel is, people are passionate about that at the beginning. They'll say, oh, the temperature for evangelism is high to share the gospel. But as churches go on, they kind of tend to lose sight of that to focus inward. And we just don't want to lose that here. So we continually go back to our mission. And we went back to the blessed practices today, which are begin with prayer, listen to people, eat with them, serve them, and then share your story of faith with them. And we talk about that a lot in our membership workshop, because that we have to work to keep that temperature high, to be
Amen.
mindful.
Yeah.
There are people out here, there are students out here who are far from God, and they're seeking, and God's Spirit is calling people. I believe God's calling everyone, right? But not everyone responds to that. But we have students who are ready to respond. And when they come, they want the truth. They're like, I want to really encounter. It might be hard, but they're ready for the spiritual conversation. And you're giving that to them, and that whole idea of keeping that temperature high led us into this series, Love Where You Live. And it's fun to see so many people like you on our staff. Shellie's full-time, but she also runs still her business and doing hair, and she's been a salon owner and all that, and she's flexed that as God's called her into ministry. But she has other circles that she runs in the Bay Area that God has given her. And so talk about that. You were just talking about you and one of the other people in our church that you guys have served through your business, and like just some of the things that have happened.
Yeah. So first and foremost, like, my heart is an evangelist heart. I feel like I am not down for that climate to ever get cold. Like, I want to always be on fire for the people on the outside. Because if I love the people on the inside, they're my family. But once you're in the family, we want to bring more family in. And so that has just continually been something that I think comes naturally for me. So when I first started coming here, just telling my friends, and in the first, I don't know, probably year of me coming here, I baptized both of my best friends. And since then, my best friend, Evelyn, who works with me, we're able to bounce back and forth in our chair. She, that like what we're doing at church. And some of those things, I've talked about this before, will like cause something in a client, right? And then other times you just see this person like, you guys are Christians and you have this cool place to go. Where is this? And so she recently invited a client in who's been coming. She just recently got married. Her and her husband have been here, and they're just being blessed by Community Christian, which is so awesome. I also can think of this family. My brother actually played baseball with this family that's coming, also a redheaded child, 2 redheaded children it's like surreal to me, truly. But so my brother played baseball with this girl. Her dad coached my brother, and she was invited in by one of our kids' community leaders. And I think that her daughter goes to school in Mr. Martinez's class, and they were invited in, and this family just... you can see God changing them. You can see God shaping them. And the mom told me last week her child accepted Jesus into her heart and wants to be baptized next week. And she said, like, we live a moral, upright life. But when I came here, something changed. And it started with Jingle Jam. And that's like, I love Jingle Jam is an awesome Christmas thing that we put on for families, for our community, and invite people in. And I love that kind of creative evangelism where you're like, just come. Santa Claus is here. Even if we don't believe in Santa Claus, he's here, right? And it's just a cool opportunity for people to come and connect and do fun things. And that's what evangelism is all about, is just opening up our doors to people in creative new ways and bringing them in. And through that, she has connected to this community and her life has changed. And it's just surreal to watch God moving in those ways, not through us, but us just putting our hands into something great and being creative. And I love that too. I love to be creative, which is the way we reach people, and never stop thinking about just ways that we can invite people in. So, yeah. Yeah,
it's really, we're loving people. We're trying to find ways to connect with our community. And so over the years, we've done flyers. We've done mailers. We put invite cards for Easter in your program over the next couple of weeks here that you can just use those, take it to someone's house, put it in somebody's box at work, personally hand it to them is probably the best. But we've done festivals. We continue to do that and show up. And we've, you've been out there where you've had somebody pray over somebody else, right?
Yeah.
And they wanted that. The conversation went there naturally. It wasn't like we just started praying for people, but there was a conversation and, hey, do you want us to pray for you? And we've seen the power of that. And people come to church because somebody engage with them spiritually, bless them, encourage them. And then even like we've at times sent out mass mailers just because we want to say to people, we're here. That's not necessarily the personal touch, but relationally as best we can to thousands of homes. There's a seat for you. There's a church that has a spot for you if you're looking to connect. And it's been amazing what's happened. You have the weirdest story. You heard you're at a festival.
Yeah.
Tell that story.
I'm so excited to tell this story. So we're at a festival, and this lady comes up to me and she's like, I attended community when I lived here. She had since moved away, but she was at the festival visiting. And she's like, I had thrown that mailer away. And she's like, I was sitting on my couch and she's like, I was honestly in a really dark place. She's like, I just wasn't in a good spot. I wasn't connected in this community, like Morgan Hill community. And she's like, my cat drug over the mailer. Like it was like, I pictured it like stuck in his paw and he's like dragging it to her. And I just was so blessed by that because we do like that creativity that I'm talking about. Sometimes you're like, it's a mailer, right? I mean, is it working? It can be expensive to send those things out. It can be a lot of work to produce something like that. Is it reaching people? And that's just a testimony. Like not only is it reaching people, but the people that God needs it to reach, that's the cool part where God connects our creativity is he's like, I'm going to take a little kitty paw and I'm going to drag this to you.
Out of the junk pile.
So you can go to church and find a community of people. And we just baptized Kim, who's in my student ministry, and we've just seen God do amazing things in her life in the last few months, year. And same thing. She's like, I got a mailer and it changed my life. I just knew that I needed to connect. And so, I love those things that we continually do and evaluate to just reach people and bring them in.
Yeah. Listen, we talked about in the message that I think we're called as followers of Jesus, if you're a follower of Jesus, to be a catalyst for connection. And I shared a bunch of stories last week. You're talking about students. You're talking about different people who were invited in. That all happened because of somebody else. You were probably invited by somebody, and so whether you take and put a card in their hand, help people connect, be a catalyst for connection. You do not know what God is doing in someone's life or the trial or the part that they're in or that they've been seeking or they've been wondering, like, I would go to a church if someone would just ask, but no one has just asked. And so, I just encourage you as we come to Easter, be bold, invite people to come. We know that most people that get invited will come, particularly like a special holiday like Easter, even if they have no faith background. Well, I'll check out and see what that's about. If they have somebody safe to go with, right, to help them get through the door. So put out those invites. We want this to continue to be the heart of our church, to see people, right? These are the stories. This is the exciting part, to see people go spiritually from death to life and then to mature and then be able to do that for others. I mean, this is part of the spiritual journey, and it's a joy to continue to see it happening here. And Shellie, thanks for all you're doing with students, like seeing students serve and share their testimony and their story and be a key part of community. That's been my heart for a long time, to see that grow. And it's neat to see God answering that prayer and using you to make that happen. So
thank you.
We're excited. This next week, we'll continue with this series. It's Palm Sunday, the week before Easter. And so we'll acknowledge that as well and continue to talk about how do we actually love where we live, where God has put us here in this Silicon Valley. God bless you.
Bye, guys.